All right, welcome to our friends around the globe. We've got a big one for you today. This is one of our last webinars of 2021. It's been a crazy year. The webinar today is called 9 Tips for Converting Visitors on Your Website. Now, the reason that we wanted to highlight this topic again before the year wraps up is it's becoming so important to have a high quality website that you can drive bookings on and get those visitors converting on, especially because the pandemic has really increased the need for travelers to have those operational and safety information pieces right at their fingertips. As we know from talking to our customers, attractions are requiring pre-purchase tickets online more than ever before. Hotels are sharing information on which amenities are open. Destinations website are sharing things to do for those local staycationers. I myself have overutilized the Visit Dallas website in the past few months trying to find things to do that are open again. The list goes on. In fact, when we talk to travel brands in the industry, we're learning that not only is it a high priority for customers to get that information, but it's a high priority for them to improve their websites. And they've really focused on that throughout the pandemic. In talking to United Airlines, they said they spent more to encourage going direct so they could really control that messaging around COVID guidelines. And they, like others that are taking advantage of those online searches to really connect directly with their customers, that are booking direct, they're building those direct relationships, and that's what's important, to have that retention and that loyalty. So I was doing some research of my own, and an interesting stat that I dug up was that 94% of first impressions relate to your site's website design. So again, 94% of first impressions relate to your website's design. That's a big number. So the bottom line is that when someone finds your business for the first time, it's absolutely critical to set a good first impression. Your audience's first impression is going to have that lasting impact on how they perceive your business. And when it comes to your website, as we all know, the majority of first impressions are going to come from that site's design. So that is why I'm really excited to have Simone here today. Simone is Sojourn's senior brand designer, and she is going to share some tips to help brands optimize their websites to get visitors to book. We're going to discuss some tactics today that you can implement to help increase conversions on your site. And as always, we will close with a brief Q&A. So before I send it to Simone, I just wanted to give a quick background on what Sojourn does, and then she will give us some education on website design. So in a nutshell, Sojourn supports travel marketers, you, by helping you move travelers from dream to destination. So we've got thousands of global data partnerships, and we get access to real-time search and booking signals. And what we're able to do with those is help travel marketers utilize all that rich data to get messages in front of in-market travelers at the right time, and of course, with the right personalized message for that audience. So to make this example kind of real for you, picture that you're a traveler and the last time that you booked a flight, but you didn't book a hotel room yet, and you received an ad shortly thereafter while you're browsing the web for a hotel or even something to do in the destination that you booked your flight to. Sojourn can be behind that. So we help activate those ads on behalf of travel marketers that are in hotel, destination, the attractions and airline space, to advertise to those travelers to get them ultimately visiting you and coming to book with you. So with that, my name is Christy Jobman. I'm a marketing manager here at Sojourn, and I manage our global webinar strategy. And my goal at the end of the day is to get you the right information that you need to help drive direct bookings on those websites that Simone's going to talk to us about today. And I am joining you, of course, from Dallas, Texas, and I'm going to pass it to Simone. Share a little bit about your background and how you got into design work, Simone.
Sure. Thanks for the great introduction, Christy. So I'm Simone. I am Sojourn's senior brand designer. I'm located here in San Francisco, where is also the main office of Sojourn. I've been with Sojourn for over 5 years, and as a designer, I've been working for over 10 years. I actually started out in architecture, but moved over to brand and web design in a previous role. So along with building out Sojourn's website, I work on creating the design and visuals for Sojourn's branding and some of the many Sojourn materials you find online, like our ebooks and case studies.
Awesome. Breadth of experience, as you can see. I've been working with Sojourn, or with Simone and Sojourn, I guess, for a little about 4 years now, and I have learned so much from her. So before we let Simone present all those awesome design tips, we just want to remind you to send out those questions on the right side there on the webinar control panel if you have any for her as we go through. We have received a few during pre-registration that we're going to cover today, but do keep those live ones coming. And like I said, I've known Simone for 4 years. I have an actual running document of all the tips that she has given me for design over the years. So we're going to send this thing out so you can listen again later, or if you missed something, don't worry, you will get this recording soon. And with that, I will send it over to Simone.
So I'm really excited to share with you today some useful tips to improve your web presence and hopefully convert more site visitors to guests. I'll be covering 3 areas of adjustment. So first, we'll go over simplicity in your site design. Next is readability in your site content. And lastly is brand consistency beyond your site. So in this first section, I'll be talking about simplicity and how you should apply it to your website. So what do I mean by that? That means finding the balance between giving too much information and too little. We don't want travelers landing on your site and feeling overwhelmed with a crowded page, nor do we want them to have difficulty navigating your site, wondering exactly what they'll be getting when booking with you. And one way to ensure that your design is simplified is to define the design elements of your brand. And that's tip number 1. So brand is the name, terms, design, messaging, or any other feature that identifies one seller's goods or services apart from those of other sellers. So hopefully you've gone through the exercise of building out your brand design, including identifying your color palette, fonts, and integrating those well throughout your site. So how do the visuals you chose complement what you'd like your brand to represent? Are you a calming beachside destination utilizing tranquil blues and greens, or a modern hotel using a deep yellow? You know, there's really no set rule on what works for a specific business, but keep it focused to a particular audience you'd like to attract. If you want to make it easier on yourself and keep your site design simple, consider using 2 on-brand colors, a neutral color and an easy to read font. So, you know, here's a quick example. Do you think you can guess which brand this is? It's a global hotel brand and often easily recognizable. It's Choice. You can see they bring in their brand orange as buttons and yellow as highlights to their promotions. You know, their clean font is easy to read, and you can see this motif carried throughout the site. When you look at the different pages of your site, do they have a similar visual feel? Remember, your brand identity separates you from similar businesses and can be the factor that draws travelers to book with you. Another design element that helps define your brand are your images. And when you're using images, you don't need to have an excessive amount of them plastered through your site. Tip 2, keep it simple and use select images unique to your business to inspire travelers to book with you. So pictures of your central location or special offerings such as spa treatments and excursions, they work really well. Also, you want to ensure that the images are high quality but small in size. So use SVGs for logos and icons and WebPs for photos. It's also especially important to avoid cluttering your site with an excessive amount of images on one page, because site visitors have a short attention span, and slowly loading pages will deter them from staying and booking. Having too many things to load, such as large images, videos, or plugins, they can really slow your site down. So tip 3 is to make sure your site is optimized to avoid long loading times. And you can check your page speed by using Google PageSpeed Insights, where they'll give you a score out of 100 along with a rough idea of what's slowing your site down. So depending on how your site was built, you may need to work with your developer to get your score up. The better the score, the higher Google will rank your site in search. But there are a few things you can do off the bat. Again, avoid having too much content and images on the homepage. If you want to provide more information about your property, create separate pages specifically for amenities or for your guest rooms. And make sure you optimize your mobile site too. You can see your mobile score on Google Page Insights, and that's actually the main number they'll take into account when ranking your site in search. Mobile usage accounts for almost half the traffic across the globe, and many travelers like to start looking on their mobile phones and then move to desktop for booking. So both need to be working really well. And when they're ready to book, tip 4, make it clear and easy where travelers can book on your website. When they first land on your homepage, they should immediately see the booking tool or a strong CTA that directs them to booking. When they're ready, you want to make sure the process is just as easy and issue-free, because almost 1/3 of travelers will abandon their booking if they experience any issues during their process. So issues ranging from feeling like the booking process was too long to running into technical or payment problems. So here's a couple of things you can do to make that process a lot smoother for your site visitors. You want to include a wizard, and a wizard is a step-by-step process that allows users to input information in a prescribed order. So knowing where they are in that process can help make it seem less lengthy. You want to differentiate your options. Travelers want to feel educated about their choices. So listing the different options, the differences between options during the booking process will be easier to understand. Also include pictures. Having an image of the option of choice really reassures them that they're making the right booking. And lastly, don't forget to offer packages and extras during the booking process. Seeing those promotions can be the nudge travelers need to book or stay longer than planned. Hopefully you find those design tips useful. Having a well-designed site can make a big difference in getting travelers to book, but it's also important to take a look at the readability of your site content. Travelers want a friction-free experience. The type of content you provide and how you provide it can determine the ease with which a visitor can navigate the page, get the information they need, or find the services they're looking for. So tip 5, you want to make sure you use concise messaging. Communicate clearly and succinctly with text that is relevant to your potential guest. So these two text boxes convey similar descriptions of what amenities are available for travelers at a hotel. However, there are some key differences. Messaging on the right removes unnecessary and distracting fluff. Too many filler phrases and lengthy text will crowd your page and confuse visitors just trying to learn more. Bullet points really help with the legibility of the different services the hotel offers. Also, the left paragraph uses a couple of words which overpromise some of the amenities capabilities. You want to make sure you set expectations accurately with your guests from the beginning. Now, besides descriptions of your property, your call to action prompt has a high impact in driving bookings. Tip 6, don't neglect your CTA. Sojourn's design team performed a number of A/B tests on CTAs, and they found that your CTA needs to create a sense of urgency to get the viewers to click on what you'd like them to do. So whether it's book now or get deal to start the booking process, or learn more to get site visitors more information. Also, try using a primary color to help your CTA stand out on the page. Pair your CTA with compelling copy. Make sure you're using clear and simple text to describe your property, attraction, brand, or promotion, such as explore the San Diego Sea Caves or a paradise getaway for nature lovers. So we recommend using 80 characters or less to avoid obscuring your CTA. Now, having a concise, accurate descriptions of your business offerings and strong CTAs will certainly help with bookings. But to really engage with your audience and drive them to you, your compelling content should be adjusted to boost SEO, and that's tip 7. So search engine optimization, or SEO, is the process of improving the quality and quantity of traffic to a website from search engines such as Google or Bing. So when travelers go to search for terms that can relate to your business, potentially they're getting dozens, if not hundreds of results. Obviously, the higher you rank, the more likely people will see your page. And where you rank on search engine results pages is based off of a number of factors, including the content you write on your site, such as the descriptions of offerings and amenities, info about your business, or articles of nearby activities and events. So here's some tactics you can use to optimize your property's ranking on search engines. So one, you want to create engaging content. An example of engaging content would be an itinerary of things to do in your area, or an article of top travel tips to help travelers. This is also useful for SEO since the content can potentially pop up in search results and inspire searchers to book with you. Two, use keyword-rich phrases. Think of the terms that your ideal guest would use to search for services like yours. Then take those words and phrases and add them throughout your content. Three, refresh content often. Search engines like to check websites looking for fresh content. So new content boosts your SEO rating because it shows you're an active and engaged participant on the internet. Four, you want to hyperlink to other sites. In your content, you can mention related attractions or nearby businesses and link to their sites. This will help with your ranking. Just be sure that these links open up to a new tab or page. You don't want visitors to leave your site completely. And lastly, cornerstone your content. A cornerstone article provides the best and most complete information on a particular topic. So in this case, the content should reflect your business mission and why booking with you can fulfill travelers' needs without being salesy. It helps raise your brand awareness and establishes authority, trust, and positive brand sentiment. You want this content to have prominent placement on your website. So in other words, a visitor should be able to view or click straight to the content from your homepage. And so not only will that make improvements to content and help your SEO, you're also making it a lot easier for your site visitors to get the information they need. Now, earlier, I talked a little bit about brand design and how it relates to driving bookings through your site. But it's also important that you don't rely on your site alone to attract guests. Social media and advertising are an absolute must to get the more relevant travelers onto your site. So keeping a consistent brand experience helps build awareness of your business and gives them a reason to trust you. So for tip 8, showcase the best of your business on social media. So you would be hard pressed to find a business not on social media in this day and age. But it's not simply enough to have a page with business information and a link back to your site. You need to engage with your audience, and it's important to have a successful social media presence, sharing the latest updates to your hotel, responding to customer inquiries, or even liking your guest vacation photos. So if you find any user-generated content of your property that is especially appealing, try asking them for permission to repost their photo. It's a great way to convey to potential travelers what visiting your property will be like. And there's no channel as wide-reaching as Facebook and Instagram. Over 50% of travel companies see bookings increase due to their presence on these platforms. Also considering over 53% of travelers found inspiration for their next trip on Facebook and Instagram, the possibilities to reach and influence travelers to book are limitless. You know, social media is the perfect opportunity to use the branding that you've built your website around to draw in potential guests. So now you can share all the great photos and videos that highlight your property, especially if you weren't able to place them on your site. And when describing your business or responding to travelers, you want to use the same tone of voice that you use on your site content so that your site will already feel familiar to them once they visit. And make sure you use properly sized logos and images for each of your different channels so it's clear on a variety of devices. Different social channels have different requirements for images and posts. And while defaulting to organic reach has benefits, you're likely to have more success if you try a paid advertising strategy in order to deliver the message to the right audience at the right time. And part of that strategy should include display ads. Think of your display ads like billboards. It stands out as a paid ad and is a hard sell to travelers, but travelers can run into a number of ads online, so you need to catch their eye and get them to click on it. Tip 9. Use animated display ads that match your site. Animated HTML5 ads are more engaging than static JPEG images and make it easier to create a narrative that the target audience can connect with. So we actually performed A/B tests between static and animated HTML5 ads. And what we found is animated ads had a 13% higher click-through rate and resulted in 8% more conversions than traditional static JPEG ads. So based on these results, our ad design team has made an active effort to provide all of our customers with animated HTML5 ads, such as the ones you see here. Our award-winning design team takes your branding from your site to build out these HTML5 ads so that travelers have a consistent experience with your brand. It's great for staying top of mind as travelers narrow down preferences and ultimately book. Well, hopefully you find these design tips useful. Having a simplified design, readable content, and brand consistency will prepare your site for converting visitors to bookers.
Okay, thank you so much, Simone. Super educational. The one stat that really stuck out to me is that 29% of travelers are actually abandoning their booking during that process if they run into issues. So again, that really drives home the point that you are truly risking revenue if you don't fix those issues on your booking engine. Make sure you got a seamless experience for your visitors. So before we jump into the Q&A, I have one final quick reminder. If you want more information on this subject, we created a full-scale guide called Creating a Website That Converts, and that can be downloaded on our website, or we will make it even easier for you and send the link to you in our follow-up email. And the last thing that I'll share is for our Spanish-speaking friends, we're translating this guide into Spanish, and we're going to do this webinar in Spanish with a partner coming up to round out the year in December. So stay tuned for more info on that. And we're going to keep this Q&A nice and short, give you some extra time back to finish up that 2022 planning. And if you don't have your question covered live today, we'll have someone from the Sojourn team follow up with you directly. So the first question, and I think, I know our sales teams get this a lot, especially if we're working with smaller to more medium-sized businesses. Simone, what tips do you have for someone with a low budget to spend on website? Are there major priorities to ensure the best experience for visitors?
Yeah, so if you want to keep your costs down and work on your site on your own, I would focus on keeping your site built as organized as possible so that you aren't wasting too much time. So before building out your site, you want to create an outline of all the pages you need to build. First, focus on your main pages like the home page and booking page, and then work on other pages like your guest rooms and amenities. So, and if you have the time, consider creating pages for activities to do in your area, places to visit, or restaurants to eat at. So that was something that I had kind of alluded to in the presentation. And again, that's just a great way to engage with your audience. Also, there's a lot of really good website builders out there, such as Squarespace and Wix, and they are super affordable. You also can use WordPress, and these options have great, easy to use templates that you could use for the website. And if you're thinking about your booking engines, there's a number of booking engines that can easily integrate into those tools. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I think, for folks that already have a website and they're activated a booking engine, I think we're partnered with quite a few booking engines. We know that they also offer some really nice integrated website experiences too. So that's another option to look into.
Yeah, and also if you are having those issues especially with just trying to integrate those booking engines, this could be the point where you do want to bring in a web developer, just so you can make sure at least that piece is working and making sure you're capturing those direct bookings properly.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think even if you have a web developer in-house that's maybe part-time or just helping you activate on the front end and helping with those issues when they come up, it can keep costs down for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that you mentioned in the presentation, we got a question about is not having too many photos or videos on your site. But this person says they've seen a lot of hotels that have big pictures and autoplay video. So what's the story with that? Can you share a little bit more about the value behind keeping those at a minimum?
Yeah, so, I do mention that a lot. And I just want to clarify that you can have all these photos and videos as long as you're aware of like how it affects the functionality of your site. So, many sites work with developers to optimize their site and shave off those extra seconds for loading pages. So that can make all the difference in driving and keeping traffic on your site. So, if you don't have that access to a developer, again, this is just one way to make sure that you're not adding, extra time on your site. So it's just keeping those photos and videos down. But as long as you're, again, aware and optimizing your site, you can have those photos and videos. And if you are inclined to add more videos, you can use YouTube to host and embed them onto your site. So that's a good way. So if it's not like hosted on your page, on your actual like website host, it's not going to, be as slow. Just be aware that you do have some video settings in YouTube that you want to make sure you remove, like recommended videos. That way you're not sending other people off of your site.
Great tip. And I think, a lot of our customers have these amazing video assets they're excited about and they want to show off. So that's a helpful tip. And one of the things that we talk to our customers about sometimes that might seem obvious, but if you've got a website and maybe you're an attraction, you're just getting to that stage where you want to add a booking engine, or you're a destination and you don't really have that online cash register, go onto your website as a customer would, utilize a tablet, different sizes of desktop, your mobile phone, and see what that experience is like trying to download content or look at different, if you've got a list of things to do in the area and you try to go to that page and it's not easy to access, worse yet, if you're trying to make a booking through mobile and it's hard to even push the book now button on your phone, those little things that you can easily clean up and prevent a customer running into, you're going to have, it's just going to raise your profile and increase the opportunity to drive those bookings. So I think your tips around just keeping the load times as fast as possible. In this day and age, it's so easy to just click out to something new. So check those load times yourself. If it's taking a long time to pull something up on a browser on mobile, your potential bookers are running into that issue too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is a question that's probably on everyone's mind. We get questions like this all the time in webinars. So you do all this work to make this fantastic website, but what happens next? How do travel brands get more traffic to their website?
Well, so one of the things I mentioned in the presentation, it was social media. So social media obviously is a great way to reach, a very wide audience, and using those inspirational photos and videos that you have is really going to attract them. So keeping them engaged through social media is definitely like a top of the funnel, approach. And then again, having that paid ad strategy. So, make sure you're taking a multi-channel approach to reach more travelers. You can use channels like, display, meta search, native, social, and more. And Sojourn has all those things. But getting more traffic is not necessarily the best thought of mind. Like, it's really what you should be thinking about is the right traffic, the qualified traffic. That's what you should really focus on. So like when you're getting that traffic, are they staying on the site longer, or are they like leaving, bouncing as soon as they land? So, checking those analytics and see where is your traffic coming from, where is your traffic going. If you have that high bounce rate, it's likely that you're not reaching who would be interested in booking with you. Also, are they visiting more pages of your site to do research on your property? Like, are they just staying on one page? Or are they just sitting there? Or are they looking at like, what are the rooms you have? What are those amenities? What is around your area? If you could see that, then you know that they're engaged. And that's what you really should be looking out for. So, Sojourn does a really good job of getting that right audience to your site. So we focus specifically on the traveler and on understanding their online behavior. So again, it's more so the right traffic, I think, as opposed to just whatever traffic you could get.
I love that. It's something all marketers should think about. So do you recommend for folks that are just starting out to utilize like Google Analytics as a platform for that, or what's something that's really easy to use to track those analytics so they can understand bounce rates and page views? And
Yeah, I mean, we use Google Analytics, and I think it's super helpful just to see, it goes through a lot of details about your site. Also, if you are working like on, I believe, like Squarespace or just any of those site builders, they usually have some analytics also built into it. But, using Google Analytics is a super useful tool that I think will show you just, so much information about your audience.
I would have to agree. Whenever I go in and dig into the Google Analytics, I'm blown away. You can see the users that are on your site while you're looking at the analytics, what pages they're on while you're looking at them. So it's that real-time data that really answers those questions for you, what's working, what's not, and where people are going. So that's a great tip. So, okay, let's get one more question in here and then we're gonna call it a day. We promised ourselves we were gonna keep this webinar short and sweet to round out the year. So we get this question a lot from our customers. And as things continue to evolve during the pandemic, I mean, different parts of the globe are experiencing the pandemic in different ways. Where should customers put their messaging for cleanliness and safety and things of that nature? Sometimes you read that tips aren't needed on the website at all anymore, and some say to keep it front and center. So what are your thoughts from a design perspective that share the information where it needs to be shared, but also they don't take up too much of that awesome design we've been talking about?
Right. Well, I mean, just as like a consumer, I definitely want more information as opposed to, not having that information, especially since we are still, in the middle of of this pandemic. But it's gotten a lot better. Obviously, everybody's, starting to travel a lot more. I know I've been traveling a lot more, but it always like reassures me to know that they have these standards of cleanliness and safety. So in terms of where placing this messages on your website, it definitely depends on your location. So like for a lot of regions where there is still a number of restrictions or, they're just coming out of lockdown, having that messaging front and center, like somewhere high up on your homepage, or even creating a short page that has your cleanliness and safety protocols and having that link up in your menu, that's going to be super helpful. For areas where, it's been open for a while, you can just use like a pop-up banner on the bottom of your page, like on the footer, and that could actually just link to like some area on your site, just going into a bit more detail of those like cleanliness and safety protocols. So it could be like in a blog or a small paragraph on your guest room page, again, just talking about that information. I think also with having with showing the cleanliness and safety protocols, it's also a good chance to kind of highlight how you're using those to allow your amenities to open back up. Because I mean, that was like a huge thing, was not being able to use the pool or not being able to use the gym. But now there's a lot of places that have these things open, just because they have changed their protocols to make sure, it's clean and up to standard.
Spot on. I too have been dabbling a bit more in travel. I took quite a few months off and didn't go anywhere fun at all. But now that I'm back at it again, I've noticed something that I do every time is I go to that hotel's website. I want to know which restaurants are open on property, what bars are open on property. I'm interested to know what attractions are open nearby too. And the more information that I can find on the website I'm looking to book on, the more likely I am to book. And I'll even just say in the destination space, I utilize DMO websites everywhere I go just to understand what things they're touting that they think are awesome enough to showcase on their website that I should go and check out. So the more information I think Simone said that you can include, the better. Over communication, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you keep it, keep the text to a minimum, and plenty of, good design, I think, is the overarching goal there, right? Anything else that you want to share with our audience before we say goodbye today?
I think that's mostly it. Hopefully these tips are super useful. I think they're easy to implement. And we do have a lot more information available online. So.
Awesome. And I'll send you Simone's way if you have any extra questions beyond that. Like I said, if you have questions today that did not get answered, we will absolutely have someone follow up with you directly. And thank you again, Simone, so much for all of this fantastic knowledge shares. And also want to thank our participants over the past almost 2 years now since we've launched this series. Some of you have stuck with us the whole way through. We appreciate you so much. We wish you the best of luck to wrap up 2021, and we will see some of you, our Spanish-speaking friends, for another similar version of this here in December. And we are in the midst of building out an exciting webinar calendar for 2022 with loads of customers to share best practices. So we hope to see you then, and lots of safe travel experiences in the meantime. Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye.